Marriage and education. Woman is to man as the slave to the master, the manual to the mental worker, the barbarian to the Greek. Woman is an unfinished man, left standing on a lower step in the scale of development. The male is by nature superior, and the female inferior. The one rules and the other is ruled, and this principle extends of necessity to all mankind. Woman is weak of will and therefore incapable of independence of character or position. Her best condition is a quiet home life in which, while ruled by the man in her external relations, she may be in domestic affairs supreme. Woman should not be made more like men, as in Plato's Republic. Rather, the dissimilarity should be increased. Nothing is so attractive as the different. The courage of a man and that of a woman are not, as Socrates supposed, the same. The courage of a man is shown in commanding, that of a woman in obeying. As the poet says, silence is a woman's glory. Aristotle seems to suspect that this ideal enslavement of woman is a rare achievement for man, and that as often as not, the scepter is with the tongue rather than with the arm. As if to give the male an indispensable advantage, he advises him to defer marriage till the vicinity of 37, and then to marry a lass of some 20 years. A girl who is rounding the 20s is usually the equal of a man of 30, but may perhaps be managed by a seasoned warrior of 37. What attracts Aristotle to this matrimonial mathematics is the consideration that two such disparate persons will lose their reproductive power and passions at approximately the same time. If the man is still able to beget children while the woman is unable to bear them, or vice versa, quarrels and differences will arise. Since the time of generation is commonly limited within the age of 70 years in the man and 50 in the woman, the commencement of their union should conform to these periods. The union of male and female when too young is bad for the creation of children. In all animals, the offspring of the young are small and ill-developed, and generally female. Health is more important than love. Further, it conduces to temperance not to marry too soon. For women who marry early are apt to be wanton, and in men, too, the bodily frame is stunted if they marry while they are growing. These matters should not be left to youthful caprice. They should be under state supervision and control. The state should determine the minimum and maximum ages of marriage for each sex, the best seasons for conception, and the rate of increase in population. If the natural rate of increase is too high, the cruel practice of infanticide may be replaced by abortion, and let abortion be procured before sense and life have begun. There is an ideal number of population for every state, varying with its position and resources. A state when composed of too few is not, as a state should be, self-sufficing, while if it has too many it becomes a nation and not a state, and is almost incapable of constitutional government, or of ethnic or political unity. Anything in excess of a population of 10,000 is undesirable. Education, too, should be in the hands of the state. That which most contributes to the permanence of constitutions is the adaptation of education to the form of government. The citizen should be molded to the form of government under which he lives. By state control of schools, we might divert men from industry and trade to agriculture, and we might train men, while keeping property private, to open their possessions to discriminately common use. Among good men, with respect to the use of property, the proverb will hold that friends shall have all things in common. But above all, the growing citizen must be taught obedience to law, else a state is impossible. It has been well said that he who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. The good citizen should be capable of both. And only a state system of schools can achieve social unity amid ethnic heterogeneity. The state is a plurality which must be made into a unity and a community by education. Let youth be taught, too, the great boon it has in the state, the unappreciated security which comes of social organization, the freedom that comes of law. Man, when perfected, is the best of animals, but when isolated he is the worst of all. For injustice is more dangerous when armed, and man is equipped at birth with the weapon of intelligence and with qualities of character which he may use for the vilest ends. Wherefore, if he have not virtue, he is the most unholy and savage of animals, full of gluttony and lust. And only social control can give him virtue. Through speech, man evolved society. Through society, intelligence. Through intelligence, order. And through order, civilization. In such an ordered state, the individual has 1,000 opportunities and avenues of development open to him, which a solitary life would never give. To live alone, then, one must be either an animal or a god. Hence, revolution is almost always unwise. It may achieve some good, but at the cost of many evils, the chief of which is the disturbance, and perhaps the dissolution, of that social order and structure on which every political good depends. The direct consequences of revolutionary innovations may be calculable and salutary, but the indirect are generally incalculable and not seldom disastrous. They who take only a few points into account find it easy to pronounce judgment, and a man can make up his mind quickly if he has only a little to make up. Young men are easily deceived, for they are quick to hope. The suppression of long-established habits brings the overthrow of innovating governments, because the old habits persist among the people. Characters are not so easily changed as laws. If a constitution is to be permanent, all the parts of a society must desire it to be maintained. Therefore, a ruler who would avoid revolution should prevent extremes of poverty and wealth, a condition which is most often the result of war. He should, like the English, encourage colonization as an outlet for a dangerously congested population, and he should foster and practice religion. An autocratic ruler particularly should appear to be earnest in the worship of the gods, for if men think that a ruler is religious and reveres the gods, they are less afraid of suffering injustice at his hands, and are less disposed to conspire against him, since they believe that the gods themselves are fighting on his side.